It was a cold December morning when Anna, a 30-year-old nurse, began her shift at the Los Abatos Geriatric Clinic, a small and cozy center located in a quiet neighborhood of the city. Anna had worked at Los Abatos for 3 years and had earned a reputation as a diligent and committed nurse. Of average height, with light brown hair that fell in soft waves over her shoulders and green eyes that reflected a mix of empathy and determination, she always showed a kind smile to cheer up her patients. That day, she was given a special assignment. She was to care for Don Ramon, a 50-year-old man who had reportedly been bedridden for over a year. Don Ramon was a robust man, with a graying beard adorning his wrinkled face. His skin, marked by the passage of time, had a grayish hue, and his deep brown eyes were often hidden behind drooping eyelids, giving him an air of profound sadness. Don Ramon's daughter, Beatriz, was a 24-year-old woman who had devoted herself to caring for her father since her mother had passed away. A tall, slender woman, Beatriz had jet black hair that she always wore in a messy bun. Her light gray eyes reflected the worry and exhaustion that had built up on her face. A strong, determined personality, Beatriz had done everything she could to ensure that her father received the care he needed, but the emotional and physical burden was overwhelming. The relationship between Anna and Beatriz began a month earlier, when Beatriz decided she needed professional help to care for her father. At first, Anna was assigned only to light duties, such as administering medications and helping move Don Ramon from bed to chair. However, as the days passed, Anna became not just a nurse, but a pillar of support for Beatriz, listening to her concerns and offering words of encouragement. During one of their conversations, Beatriz shared with Anna that her father's life had been an enigma to her. "I don't know what happened to him," Beatriz said with a deep sigh. "Before he fell into this condition, he was a strong and adventurous man. He always talked about his travels and his stories, but now he seems lost." Anna offered her a small smile of compassion, promising to do her best to help Don Ramon. Days turned into weeks, and with each shift, Anna learned more about Don Ramon. Despite his condition, there was something in his gaze that intrigued her. Often, when she thought Beatriz wasn't looking, Anna could see a glint of sharpness in Don Ramon's eyes. Was he pretending to be weaker than he really was? Beatriz visited her father almost daily, and together they would sit at the dining table in the clinic, where they would share anecdotes and family memories. Anna, although initially an observer, soon felt part of that intimacy. She would often bring homemade cookies to accompany the coffee the two women shared, and on one occasion, Anna also brought flowers from the clinic garden to brighten Don Ramon's room. One rainy afternoon, while caring for Don Ramon, Anna encountered an unusual situation. The old man was more alert than usual, and as she spoke to him about the weather, he made a subtle movement with his hand, trying to get her attention. "Anna," he said in a soft but firm voice, "can you come closer for a moment?" Surprised, Anna leaned towards him. "Of course, Don Ramon. What do you need?" "I just wanted to thank you," he said, his eyes twinkling. "You are different from the others. You live with a warmth that can be felt in this cold room." For Anna, those words were a ray of light in her routine day. Over time, Anna and Don Ramon's relationship grew closer. She began to talk to him about her life, her family, and her dreams. He in return shared stories of his youth and adventures, such as his trip to the Pyrenees Mountains, where he had climbed some of the highest peaks in Spain. Anna listened, fascinated, often asking more about those trips, but noticing at the same time that Beatriz seemed less interested in those tales. "My father doesn't like to talk about that," Beatriz would tell him evasively, although she never explained why. The daily routine was formed between them. Anna started her shift at 8 in the morning, helped Don Ramon with breakfast, and then they spent time together in the clinic garden, enjoying the sun while Beatriz arrived in the afternoon. Their days passed like this, interspersing family anecdotes with the various tasks that Anna had to perform. However, as the weeks went by, Anna noticed changes in Don Ramon's behavior. Sometimes, when her back was turned, she could feel him looking at her in a way that made her feel uncomfortable. It was subtle, but there was something in his gaze that she couldn't ignore. It was December 15th, a particularly cold day, when everything changed. Anna entered Don Ramon's room and found him awake, more alert than ever. The atmosphere was charged with a strange tension. "Anna," he said, "I want to ask you for something today." Her heart skipped a beat. She had always felt a special connection to him, but this request took her by surprise. "What do you need, Don Ramon?" she asked, trying to remain calm. He smiled in a way that she found disconcerting. I just want you to help me feel more alive, he murmured, pausing for a moment that sent a chill down Anna's spine. Anna's face froze for a moment. She had spent a lot of time taking care of Don Ramon and listening to his stories, but she had never imagined that his wish would be something so unexpected. What do you mean by that, Don Ramon? She asked, feeling her pulse quicken and her heart pound. The old man stared at her, the intensity of his gaze piercing. I want you to help me live out one last wish, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Don't misunderstand me, dear Anne. This place is comfortable, but every day here feels like another step toward oblivion. What I really want is to experience passion again, like old times. Anna felt her world stop for a moment. Don Ramon's words echoed in her mind, challenging not only her emotions but also her principles. Don Ramon, that's complicated. I'm not sure it's right, she replied, struggling to find a way to express her discomfort. I understand your reaction, he continued, softening his tone. But we all deserve a moment of happiness, an experience that makes us feel alive again. Just search your heart. Wouldn't you also like to feel something deeper in your life? Anna spent the rest of her shift in confusion. The idea of pleasing Don Ramon, of helping him experience life in such an intense and personal way, gripped her. Was this a call to a deeper connection than she had previously experienced? When he finished his shift, he decided to speak to Beatriz. Beatriz, he began, aware that his words might cause an explosive reaction. I think Don Ramon feels that you need more than just care. He made me a proposition. A wish that involves experiencing something special, beyond what we can offer you here. The words drifted through the tense air. Beatriz looked at her with disdain. How dare you make such a decision on behalf of my father? It sounds irresponsible. He is vulnerable, and you... Listen to me. Anna interrupted, feeling that she had to defend her position. I'm not saying I'll do this without your consent, but I think this might be something that will make him happy. Maybe it will offer him the chance to enjoy his life in a way that he hasn't been able to in a long time. Beatriz continued with distrust, but she realized how important her father's happiness was. Okay, but be careful. If anything goes wrong, you will come back immediately and tell me. The day finally arrived and Anna felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. She prepared everything she needed to make sure Don Ramon felt comfortable. When she got to his room, he seemed more cheerful than ever. I'm ready, said Don Ramon with a smile that lit up his face. There was energy in the air, a kind of complicity that made him seem younger. Anna helped him to dress carefully, and as they left the building, their hearts beat in unison, as if they were in a secret dance that no one else understood. They decided to leave the clinic for a nearby hotel, a discreet but welcoming place. When they arrived at the hotel, the atmosphere was different. The dim lights, the soft murmur of the surroundings, everything gave rise to an atmosphere of intimacy. Don Ramon looked dazzled, as if he were about to fulfill a dream he had kept for years. I never thought I would have an opportunity like this, he murmured, his voice trembling with emotion. Anna, though nervous, felt that there was a purpose to all of this. As they moved deeper into the room, the tension in the air was palpable. I just want you to be comfortable and happy, she clarified, although she knew that the situation was more complicated than words could express. Don Ramon gently took her hand, and for a moment they shared a knowing look. I just want to feel alive again, Anna. This isn't just for me. I think it's also a way to remember what it's like to be truly present. As the afternoon progressed and the conversation deepened, Anna felt the burden of complicity transform into a real connection. Don Ramon's story, his dreams, and the desire to experience life again prompted Anna to open up to emotions she had kept repressed. But as these moments progressed, a part of Anna questioned whether what they were doing was the right thing. For her, it wasn't just about fulfilling Don Ramon's wish. It was about what this experience meant to both of them, their dignity, their humanity, and the possibility of something they had never imagined. Are you okay, Don Ramon? Anna asked, her voice a whisper filled with curiosity. I feel more alive than ever, he replied sincerely, his eyes shining. Thank you for helping me regain something I thought was lost. You are not just a nurse. You are part of this renewed vitality. After taking in the view from the balcony, they sat down on the couch. Anna poured some water and they settled in, both nervous but excited. Would you like to listen to music? We could put on some music you like, Anna asks nervously. Of course, but I think I prefer to hear what you have in your heart now. "What do you think about what we are doing, Anna?" answers Don Ramon. Anna felt her heart racing. "It's very special to me. I want you to feel happy, and even though I don't know exactly how that feels, I'm here with you." As they talked, the tension between them began to grow. Don Ramon moved a little closer, sensing the intense connection they shared. "I never thought I could find myself like this again. As if I had recovered a part of myself that was lost. Don't you think that sometimes life takes you to unexpected places?" asks Don Ramon, happy with what was happening. "Definitely. Sometimes, all it takes is a spark to light something up. And I think we've found that spark," Anna says, caressing Don Ramon's face. Don Ramon's eyes lit up, and in a spontaneous gesture, he took Anna's hand. "Do you mind if I'm honest with you? Ever since I met you, I've felt a special connection. The way you care for me, it's shown me that I can still feel." Anna felt a torrent of emotions. "I feel the same. It's hard to express what I'm feeling, but being with you gives me life." Anna begins to let herself be carried away by this energy that united them. The moment was becoming more charged with emotion. Don Ramon leaned slightly towards Anna, getting a little closer. "I want to do something that makes me feel alive. I don't want to be afraid. Would you like to share that moment with me tonight? Just you and me?" Anna looked into his eyes, feeling her heart pounding. "I think I love him, Don Ramon. But we must take Beatriz into account. I don't want this to cause her pain." Anna is still tense about what Beatriz would say. "I understand. But at the same time, this moment is ours. We need to live it. Sometimes, difficult decisions are the ones that lead us to true happiness." Don Ramon answers in a soft but firm voice. With those words echoing in the air, Anna felt the spark turn into a flame. She moved closer, and he looked at her tenderly. "Okay, let's do this. But I want you to know that I really value what we are sharing." Anna, convinced knowing the consequences takes the risk. Don Ramon nodded, his gaze fixed on her. "And I appreciate your courage and your desire to give me this moment. It's more than I could have hoped for." As the distance between them narrowed, their lips finally met in a soft but meaningful kiss. It was a gesture that would encompass both their vulnerability and their desire for connection. The kiss deepened, transforming into an emotional dance in which they both gave themselves over to each other. After sharing that intense moment, they separated a little, both breathing heavily, smiling with joy and a little surprise at what had just happened. "I can't believe we actually did this." "It was beautiful," Anna says, surprised by herself. "It was. You've made me feel more alive than I have in years. I'm grateful for this for you." They shared a laugh laden with complex and contradictory emotions. Don Ramon had awakened something in her that had been hidden, a desire for connection, encouragement, and life. However, as intimacy continued to develop, the shadow of guilt and worry began to weigh on Anna. What would Beatriz say if she found out what was happening? Was this the connection she really wanted, or was she crossing a line she shouldn't have? Her mind was racing with these thoughts as she smiled to reassure Don Ramon. The experience, though intense, made her explore parts of herself that she had kept closed, and there was a latent fear that she could not ignore. When they finally returned to the clinic, Don Ramon looked rejuvenated, as if a spark of life had been restored in him. Anna, however, felt an emotional turmoil within her. The decisions they had made that day weighed on her conscience. Seeing Beatriz at the end of the hall, Anna felt exposed. She didn't know how to explain to her what had happened. He had found a glimmer of happiness, but at the cost of his own peace of mind. As time went by, as Don Ramon enjoyed each visit and Beatriz began to accept this new facet of their relationship, Anna found herself in a whirlwind of trust and guilt. The thin line between caring and connecting was blurred, and the search for meaning and humanity in their lives began to form a new path full of unexpected discoveries, but also of deep emotional conflicts. The next few days were an emotional whirlwind for Anna. Don Ramon seemed to have gained new energy, enjoying each visit, but the weight of what had happened was still present in her mind. Each interaction brought with it a mix of joy and anxiety, and the dilemma of how to handle the situation with Beatriz kept her in a constant internal battle. One afternoon, as she sat with Don Ramon, he shared his memories of youth, stories filled with love and adventure. "I remember the day I met your mother," he said with a wistful smile. "She was the most beautiful woman in the world to me. I should never have let her go." His words resonated deeply with Beatriz. It was clear that she still treasured those moments. When Beatriz leaves the room, Anna enters with an air of concern. Anna felt her heart pound. "Don Ramon," she said, choosing her words carefully, "do you really think that happiness can return? Or are we just looking for shadows of the past?" "Some moments are simply unrecoverable," he mused. "But that doesn't mean we can't create new memories. Every day is an opportunity. Anna, don't underestimate your power to change lives." As time went by, the sight of Beatriz watching from a distance began to unsettle Anna more than ever. She knew she had to talk to her before the tension became unbearable. One afternoon, she decided to confront the situation and met Beatriz in the clinic waiting room. "Beatriz, I need to talk to you," Anna began in a soft but firm tone. The words, which sounded perfect in her mind, stopped in their tracks when she saw the distrust in Beatriz's eyes. "About what, Anna?" "About what you've been doing with my father." The accusation in her voice took her by surprise. "What we did was something he wanted. He wanted to feel alive again," Anna explained, trying to remain calm. "It wasn't just for me. It was for him. And I think he really needed it." Beatriz remained silent for a moment that seemed like an eternity. "And how do you feel about this? Do you feel okay doing this? How can you mock the relationship between a father and his daughter like that?" Anna felt her voice crack, the conflict between loyalties wearing her down. "I didn't mean to do anything to hurt you. I just wanted to help him find some happiness. Sometimes, there's more at stake than we can see." Beatriz crossed her arms, her expression a mix of frustration and anguish. "I'm the one who has to deal with this when this is all over. What if he clings to you? What will happen when I'm not here to take care of him?" The conversation with Beatriz left her uneasy. Anna felt caught between two worlds, the desire to do what was best for Don Ramon and the desire to be honest with Beatriz. The vulnerability of both women reached a critical point. Words could not undo the new dynamic that had been created. That night, Anna reflected on her role in all of this. Was this the connection she really wanted? On the one hand, the desire to care for and support Don Ramon filled her with purpose. On the other, the shadow of her relationship with Beatriz kept her awake, wondering if she had crossed a line she should never have crossed. The next few days became a balancing act. Anna continued to visit Don Ramon, and although the energy between them was palpable, everything felt more tense. Beatriz, increasingly distant, seemed to be evaluating her own position in the situation. One afternoon, as Anna was helping Don Ramon with one of his mobility exercises, he stopped her. "Anna, are you okay? I noticed you look worried," he said sincerely. Anna, sensing that it was time to be honest, decided to open up. "Don Ramon, I feel trapped. I feel that what we share, although special, may be affecting Beatriz. I don't want to cause pain to either of them." Don Ramon looked at her carefully, his expression understanding. "What we share is a form of expression, Anna. Desire and human connection are powerful. There is no shame in it. But I understand your concern. Beatriz needs to know what is going on, and so do you." That conversation resonated with Anna and, at the end of the day, she decided it was time to be direct with Beatriz. She didn't want any more secrets. The next day, she called her into her office. "Beatriz, I need to talk about this once and for all. I think we've let the tension build up too much." Anna spoke with determination. Beatriz looked at her in surprise. "What else do you want to talk about, Anna? What you did cannot be changed with words." "I know, and I'm sorry if that hurt you," Anna replied. "But I think we should be honest and try to understand each other. Your father needs both of us, and if this is going to work, we need to be on the same page." The conversation was tense. But in the end, in the exchange of glances and emotions, both realized that life and desire could be complicated, but honesty must prevail. The following weeks were a difficult but meaningful journey. Anna and Beatriz began working together to care for Don Ramon, creating a space where he could continue to experience moments of happiness and connection. Don Ramon began to heal not only through Anna's company, but also thanks to the renewed bond with Beatriz. The two women learned to communicate, and although the concern for Don Ramon's well-being was still present, the burden of secrets faded. Their rapprochement became a sign of hope, a sign that sometimes love and connection can blossom even in the most unexpected circumstances. Don Ramon, seeing his daughter and Anna together, smiled with a sense of peace, as if he knew he had found a path forward that united them all. After the confrontation and revelation, Don Ramon moved into Beatrice's house, determined to start over. The atmosphere in the home was tense, but also full of hope. Ana visited frequently, helping to smooth the transition. Don Ramon tried to adapt to his new routine. The mornings were quiet, and he spent his time gardening, finding peace on earth. Beatrice, although resentful at first, began to see how her father struggled to redeem himself. Ana was always there, providing emotional support, and little by little they all began to understand the value of being together. Meals became a sacred time. They often sat at the table sharing simple but loving dishes. Ana had learned some recipes from Don Ramon, and together they sometimes cooked in the kitchen, while he told stories of his youth, provoking laughter and more than one tear. Don Ramon, with a renewed sense of responsibility, tried to understand the world of work and family life. Despite his improvement, the past continued to haunt him. One day, he received a call from one of his former associates in dirty business. Fearing that trouble would resurface, he had a difficult conversation with Beatrice and Ana. One evening, after a quiet dinner, Don Ramon felt it necessary to talk to Beatrice and Ana about their situation. The lights were dimmed and the atmosphere was soft. They sat together in the living room, and Don Ramon began to talk. He knew he needed to be honest and face his mistakes. "I know there has been a lot of confusion and pain. There is something I want to share with you, something I have hidden. I have hidden it to protect you," Ramon begins, quite scared of their reaction. Beatrice looked at him expectantly, her hands clasped in her lap. Ana, at her side, watched him with concern. "I wasn't really sick. I was diagnosed with an illness months ago, but it was an excuse I used to avoid facing the truth of my circumstances. I'm so sorry." They both remained silent, processing his words. "I was involved in a drug trafficking business. It was something I fell into out of desperation. At first, I thought it would end well and I could get out quickly, but it quickly turned into a mess that I didn't know how to get out of." Don Ramon explained, being as sincere as possible, knowing that he and his family could be at risk. Beatrice stared at her father, her eyes filled with disbelief. "Why did you do it, Dad? Why didn't you tell us?" Beatrice replied, "At first I thought I could handle it. I didn't want to scare you. The thought of losing everything, of losing you, led me to bury the truth in lies. I pretended to be sick to divert attention and give myself time. But now I know I've only created more pain." Ana felt a mixture of compassion and disappointment. She knew that Don Ramon's decisions had been driven by fear and desperation, but the specific consequences began to become clearer. "But now that you know, what are you going to do? You can't keep running away from this," Ana said, convinced that there is a way out. Don Ramon nodded, the weight of guilt on his shoulders. "I am ready to face my problems. I have been receiving calls from people demanding the money I owe them. But I no longer want to live in fear. I want to be the father and the man you deserve." Assuming his responsibility, Ramon decides to leave fear behind. As time passed, tensions began to fade. Evenings became bonding times. Ana, Beatrice, and Don Ramon would sit together in the living room, talking about their dreams and fears. They often laughed at old memories and shared anecdotes that strengthened their connection. One night, after watching an old movie, Don Ramon realized how happy he felt at that moment. He looked at the two women beside him and smiled. Ana took his hand, and Beatrice settled down on the couch, enjoying that feeling of family that had been absent for so long. However, a visit from those from the past was inevitable. One night, a couple of men came to the house, demanding payment for Don Ramon's debts. The tension in the room was palpable. Ana and Beatrice looked at each other nervously, while Don Ramon stood firm. He explained to them that he had turned his life around and that he was not a man who feared, but one who was committed to being a better father in person. Although the men did not leave immediately, the way Don Ramon defended his new path surprised both of them, giving them hope. Over time, things began to calm down. Don Ramon worked on a new project, finding a legitimate way to make a living, while Beatrice worked hard. Ana decided to stay more often, participating in daily life as a member of the family. Don Ramon, filled with gratitude for the opportunity to redeem himself, began to see Ana not just as a friend, but as a true companion. Their relationship grew stronger every day. Together they supported Beatrice and cultivated an atmosphere of love and respect. At home, New traditions began to form. One Sunday a month, Anna would host a special tea party to celebrate her new journey. Those Sundays became moments of laughter, remembrance, and affection. One of those afternoons, while they were laughing and sharing stories, Don Ramon felt that he had found his purpose. He looked at Anna and Beatriz, feeling lucky for what he had achieved. And so, little by little, although memories of the past still existed, the house was transformed into a refuge of love, where the family helped heal the wounds of the past, and together, looking towards the future, they allowed themselves to dream again. Sometime later, with the honest work of Anna, Beatriz and Ramon, they were able to complete the large sum of money that Ramon owed, and thus they settled that debt together. Little by little they managed to face all the problems and start again.